Como's most famous villa has no boat dock and isn't on any ferry timetable, yet it's the lake's most photographed spot. By the end, you'll have a 3-day plan built around Varenna, a walking lane village cheaper than Bellagio's grand hotels. That includes a medieval castle above the rooftops, the gardens behind a piano sonata, and the private boat crossing to a Hollywood filming location. This is how to spend 3 days in Lake Como. Let's dive in. Getting there and settling in. Most visitors fly into Milan, then take the train from Milano Centrale straight to Varenna Isino, a scenic regional ride tracing the eastern shore of the lake the whole way. The journey runs about 1 hour, costs around $8 each way, and departs roughly every 60 minutes throughout the day without needing a reservation. Base yourself in Varenna rather than Bellagio. It's calmer, considerably cheaper, and every stop in this itinerary connects back to it by ferry. Accommodation options for every budget are covered in the practical section below. Day 1. Get your bearings. Varenna wakes up slowly, with fishermen untying boats along the Passeggiata degli Innamorati, a cliffside walkway carved directly into the rock face above the water. Pastel houses stack so tightly above the lane that laundry lines cross from window to window overhead, and the smell of espresso drifts out from cafes that haven't changed their tables in decades. Small stone stairways branch off the main lane every few dozen steps, most leading nowhere in particular except a quiet courtyard or a private garden gate, and wandering them without a destination is part of the point. The climb to the castle starts beside the Church of San Giorgio in the main square, its bell tower visible from nearly every terrace along the way up. A stone path climbs through olive groves and terraced gardens for about 20 minutes to Castello di Vezio, a 1,000-year-old fortress with a tower offering a full circle of views across the lake, Bellagio's promontory, and the jagged Grigna Massif rising directly behind it. Entry runs around $8. The castle is open daily from March through October with reduced winter hours, and the climb itself is worth the effort before the gates even come into view. Older guides still promise a falconry demonstration here. That program was permanently shut down after an act of vandalism in 2022, so don't plan the morning around it. What waits down by the water in the afternoon changes the whole rhythm of the day. By early afternoon, the shoreline path leads to Villa Monastero, a former convent turned lakeside estate with terraced botanical gardens running nearly a mile along the water's edge. The combined ticket covering the gardens and the furnished house museum runs around $16. The villa is open daily with seasonal hours, and the visit takes about 90 minutes at an unhurried pace. Most visitors stop at the main lawn in the citrus grove near the entrance, but the garden continues well past that point through rows of cypress and towering Lebanon cedars, then a stretch of agave and wisteria terraces where the crowds thin out completely. Benches tucked into those far terraces make an easy spot to watch the ferries cross the lake below, often without another visitor in sight for long stretches at a time. The furnished rooms inside the villa are included in that same ticket and are worth the extra 20 minutes, with period furniture and lake-facing windows that most visitors skip entirely in favor of the gardens outside. A full day exploring Varenna's sights costs a fraction of a single afternoon in Bellagio's souvenir-heavy center, where nearly identical lake views come with double the price tag on food and drinks. Dinner is at Il Cavatappi, tucked down an alley off the main square, known for lamb shank that falls off the bone and lemon ravioli finished with a chickpea puree, running around $40 a person. Reservations fill weeks ahead in peak season and are best made by email rather than phone, so book before arriving rather than hoping to walk in. If the alley trattoria is full, Osteria Quattro Pass, a few minutes away, serves a similarly local menu at a nearly identical price point, takes reservations by phone instead, and rarely fills up quite as fast even in peak season. Choosing either over the open-air restaurants directly on the ferry dock means paying for the cooking rather than the view, and the cooking is what keeps people coming back. Tomorrow, the ferry crosses to Bellagio, and the garden waiting there holds a marble statue that once moved a composer to write one of his most famous pieces. Day 2. Gardens and Grand Views. Every ferry from Varenna drops arrivals directly into Bellagio's souvenir-lined waterfront, and most people turn back before finding what's just past it. Behind the gates of Villa Melzi sits a sculpture group of Dante and Beatrice that reportedly inspired Franz Liszt to compose part of his Dante sonata during a visit to the estate. that story and the quieter side of Bellagio built around it comes next. The ferry from Varenna to Bellagio takes about 15 minutes and costs around $6 one way, arriving directly at the promenade below Villa Melzi's entrance gate. The gardens open onto Egyptian sculptures collected in the early 1800s, centuries-old camellia hedges lining gravel paths shaded by cedar and magnolia trees, and a lakeside family chapel that most day trippers walk straight past on their way to the shops. Entry runs around $11, the gardens are open daily from late March through October, and no advance reservation is required. The orangery near the entrance now houses a small museum of Napoleonic-era relics tied to the Melzi family, included in the same ticket, and it's usually empty even when the gardens outside are busy. Arriving before 10 in the morning, ahead of the first large tour groups, is the difference between a quiet walk through the grounds and a crowded one. From the gardens, Bellagio's steep stepped lanes climb from the harbor up through the old town, lined with boutiques and gelaterias that stay busy long after the day trip boats have pulled away. A 10-minute walk through those same alleyways leads to Punta Spartivento, the northern tip of the promontory where all three branches of Lake Como meet in view at once. It costs nothing to visit and stays open all day, making it the natural budget alternative to the paid Villa Cerboloni Park tour offered nearby, which only runs on a fixed guided schedule and books out fast in summer. Locals treat this spot as the best free view on the entire lake, and it's least crowded right around sunset, once the day trip boats have already pulled away from the dock and the light turns gold across the water. A small lakeside bar at the point serves spritz and light snacks at prices closer to Varenna than to Bellagio's main strip, a rare bargain this close to the crowds. Dinner is at Bellacus, a few streets back from the harbor, known for its risotto with Lake Como perch and a shaded courtyard that seats around 40 guests, running roughly $45 a person. Sitting a block off the water instead of directly on the dock cuts the price of an equivalent meal by nearly a third, without losing the view once you're seated at the far tables near the garden wall. Reserving a table by early afternoon is worth doing even on a weekday, since the courtyard seats fill quickly once the evening ferries start arriving back from Varenna and Menaggio, and the last return crossing to Varenna leaves earlier than most visitors expect. Tomorrow trades Bellagio's crowds for the western shore, and the boat that gets you there runs on a schedule that has nothing to do with the public ferry timetable. Day 3. Hidden gems and quiet corners. Lake Como's most photographed villa doesn't appear on any public ferry route, because the only way in is a private taxi boat that isn't listed on a public timetable at all. Its gardens have appeared in both a Star Wars film and a James Bond opening sequence, shot years apart from the exact same stone terrace. Getting the timing of that crossing right changes the entire visit. The morning starts at Villa Carlotta in Tremezzo, reached by ferry from Varenna in around 50 minutes for roughly $9, where marble sculptures by Antonio Canova sit inside neoclassical rooms opening directly onto terraced rhododendron and azalea gardens, climbing the hillside behind the house. Entry runs around $19. The villa is open daily in season from 10 in the morning, and the rhododendrons bloom heaviest in late April and May, if the timing lines up. The upper terraces, well above the main lawn, look straight across the water to Bellagio and Varenna at once, a wider panorama than almost anywhere else on the lake at ground level. Visiting right at opening avoids the tour buses that start arriving from Como by mid-morning and fill the garden paths within the hour, leaving the terraces noticeably quieter for anyone who gets there first. From the Tremezzo ferry stop, it's a short hop to Leno, where a taxi boat crosses to Villa del Balbianello, the wooded promontory estate built for a cardinal in the 1780s. The walk down through the loggia and terraced gardens toward the water follows the exact path used for two separate film productions, and the promontory views make the reason obvious within a few steps. A garden-only ticket runs around $16, while the guided tour through the interior costs around $27. Both require mandatory online booking through the estate's official site, and the villa is closed Mondays and Wednesdays. Skipping the taxi boat entirely is possible too. A shoreline path from Leno reaches the villa gate on foot in around 25 minutes, at no extra cost beyond the entry ticket itself. The interior tour includes rooms once belonging to explorer Guido Monzino, who led Italy's first Everest expedition, still holding the maps, sledge, and expedition artifacts he collected on a North Pole crossing in 1971, a detail most garden-only visitors never see. Most visitors book the full guided interior tour without realizing the garden-only ticket already covers the loggia, the terraces, and nearly every angle seen in the films. The interior tour is worth the extra cost, mainly for genuine architecture and history enthusiasts. The last taxi boat back to Leno leaves well before sunset, and cutting it close on the final afternoon of a trip is the single easiest way to miss a flight or train out of Milan the next morning. If any of those experiences caught your eye, booking options for this trip are linked in the description below. Essential practical information. Transportation. Ferries link every town in this itinerary. A Central Lake Day pass runs around $16 and beats buying single tickets if visiting more than 2 stops in one day. Accommodation. Budget B&B Il Bolentino, around $190 a night. Mid-range. Albergo Milano, around $240 a night. Luxury, Hotel Royal Victoria, around $350 a night. Food, try misoltini, sun-dried lake shad served with polenta, Samuda cheese from dairies above the lake, and a glass of local Chiavenasca red with dinner. Weather and packing. May through September brings the warmest water and busiest crowds. Pack sturdy shoes for the uphill castle path and light layers for cooler lake breezes once the sun drops. Booking strategy. Book Balbianello tickets and your hotel several weeks ahead in summer. Ferry tickets, castle entry, and casual dinners are fine to sort out after you arrive. Mistakes to avoid. Buying ferries one trip at a time. Purchasing individual one-way ferry tickets for a day with 3 or more stops adds up fast, and a handful of single fares easily costs more than the Central Lake Day Pass. Buy the day pass at the first ticket window instead of paying per crossing throughout the day. Renting a car for the trip. The lakeside road connecting these towns narrows to 1 lane in places and floods with traffic in peak season, while parking near the villages runs scarce and expensive. Every stop in this itinerary is reachable by train and ferry, so skip the rental entirely and save the money. Assuming cards work everywhere, smaller guest houses, ticket booths, and family-run cafes around the lake are frequently cash-only or at a surcharge for card payments. Carry small denomination euros, since ATMs in the smaller villages can run dry on busy summer weekends. The villa everyone photographs on Lake Como isn't reachable by public ferry at all. The postcard shot and the place a tourist actually walks to are 2 different journeys. Which of these 3 days would you start with? Drop it in the comments below. Subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss the next destination guide. Check out the next video for another incredible destination worth adding to your travel list.